Hi, well today I'm going to do some work on the Yamaha Bolt and I'll show you the bike. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is my Yamaha Bolt. It's a 2014 model. I bought this one as a sort of run around, also mostly for my wife to use. She had a wee Yamaha XVS 250 and it was really gutless. And in Australia you need something with a wee bit of power, you know, for on the freeway and things like that, for overtaking. So I bought this. She doesn't use it a lot, so I started to use it, and it's a great wee bike. So 2014, this is 2022, so that'll be 6, 7, 8 years old. 8 years old, and she's done about 5,000 Ks. Now, the bike itself is fantastic. I mean, she's economical, she's quick, you know, it's 950cc, so plenty of power there. I've not done much to it. I've done a couple of modifications, such as the tail tidy. I put but ignore the tape just now, that was just to cover the bolts, because I didn't have the right ones. I also done the tappet adjustment. I've got a previous video on there for doing the tappet adjustment. So really I've not done a lot. I mean, like I say, she's only done 5,000 kilometers. And the reason she's only done 5,000 is because it is the most uncomfortable bike I've ever ridden, and I'll show you why. This was the first model of the Bolt, and the first model of the Bolt came with these shocks. They're absolutely crap, they really are. I think the year after that they brought the one with reservoir on it, which gives you a hell of a lot more comfort than these. These things just bang up and down. It's that bad when you hit bumps, it's like sending a shock up your spine into your head. And even the slightest bump, it's like hell. So I've never ridden it very much, as you can see by the cobwebs. So I've decided I'm going to remedy that. So I've bought a set of shocks, and I'll show you what I've bought. So I've bought these shocks. They're called Forza. I don't know if you can read that. They're virtually the same adjustment wise. You even get a tool for adjusting it. This thing comes with a double spring, so you've got your normal mainspring, just like the one on there, but then you've got a smaller spring. The shock itself is about 1.5 inches. If I line it up with the top and the bottom, it's about 1.5 inches longer. And if I measure the actual, if you look at the top in here, you know, you can see the rod in here. And if you hold both the shock absorber together, you can see this one's got a good inch or so more suspension in it. So what that's going to do is that's going to lift the bike up a wee bit. So it's going to be a wee bit higher. And that I'm not bothered about, but it's going to be better suspension. A lot of people think because it's a higher shock, it's going to make the bike higher. That's not what I want. I don't want the height up, although it is a benefit, because if you had a look at the pegs, they're completely scraped. So this will lift it 1 inch, 1.5 inches higher, which is fine. It'll be a wee bit better actually. And it's a better spring, and there's more, I don't know, there's more suspension on it, if you know what I mean. Plus the fact it's not just your spring, the length or whatever, it's actual pressure inside your shock absorber. You know, there's more pressure, or probably more pressure in this one there is in the old one, which means you're not going to bottom out. You certainly won't bottom out in that new one. So that should help for going over bumps and hurting my back. I'll be able to use the bike more often. So anyway, I'm going to take it off. So what you need, I'll just show you quickly here. What you need is this socket. It's a torque socket, the one with the hole in the top. You see the bolt, it's a security set. So it's a T40. You could buy that individually, or you can buy the set, which I did because they come in handy, and that fits in there for taking that off. So that's a T40, and the bottom one's a 17mm. So what to do is I've got the bike on a stand, as you've seen. So what I'll do is I'll lower it down so as the back wheel's just touching the ground and no more. So when I unbolt the shocks, I'll pull straight off. And then when I want to put the old ones on, I just need to jack the bike up a wee bit so as that gap widens and the new shock will fit on. Anyway, if you watch, I'll show you what I mean. So here we go. I've lowered the stand down so the back tire's sitting on the ground. So once these bolts are off, I should be able to pull the shock straight off. So, first one is the bottom one, 17mm. Comes off fairly easy. There's a 17mm bolt, 17mm washer. Take the socket off, put the T40 on, and make sure it's right in. Nope, there we go. Easy as that. Now I've got some Loctite come in, my wife's away to the shop, so I advise you to put Loctite on when you're doing it, just so as the bolts or nuts don't come loose. And see, that should just pull straight off, like that. So we'll go and do the other side. So other side's just the same. Got the torque socket on, so we're slacking that off first. Just like that. Torque bolt, washer. Swap the torque socket for my 17, and they came off really easy. Certainly weren't over tight. Put the nut in the ground with the washer, and this one. Now this one, if there's any weight in the wheel, this one will be taking it. But as you can see, the wheels are resting on the ground, so the shock just pulls off. So what I can do now, I can grab one of the new shocks and have a look at them. Yeah, big difference. I'd say there was a couple of inches in that. However, not going to argue about that. So, the easiest way to do this, put your bottom one on, like that, and set this up here, and you can see how much you're going to have to jack the bike up. So I'll start jacking the bike gently, just by hand. As you can see, it goes up without the wheel going up. Now I've just overdone it a wee bit. There we go. So that in like that. So that was my wife just back from the shops. So what I'll do, she brought my Loctite, put a wee drop Loctite on there, just a wee drop, because you didn't want the damn things to slacken off. And give it a good crank up. Same with the one on the top, just put that off again. And a bit of Loctite. Oh Jesus Christ, put the lid on. We drop Loctite in the bolt. That's all you need, not a lot. Put the washer on. And crank it up. Make sure you're in properly. Right. Snaps, there we go. So that's that side done. The reason I like the Loctite is If you're using a taut wrench, you're fine. If you're not, you could over tighten them, strip the thread, or not have them tight enough and they could slacken off. So the Loctite, you can give them a good tighten and you know it's not going to slacken off again. So yeah, that's that one on. Doesn't look too bad. We'll see what the finished result looks like. So that's the bottom one on the other side. Or I should say the other side's on, just finishing this one. Now, a bit Loctite. Somebody had asked me about the springs with the chamber on them, whether they were good. They're certainly better than the standard and what came with the original Bolt. Anything's better than that. But somebody asked me if these springs would be better than the ones with the chamber on them. I don't really know. It's hard to say. Everything's trial and error. I mean, I don't even know how good they're going to be till I try them out. Yeah, it's nice and tight. Now, I've got adjusters on them, just the same as, you know, the standard ones. So that's at the lowest setting. It's got 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4 settings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 settings in the old one. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 settings. So you can turn that round either way to stiffen the spring or not. They might be okay. I might turn them up to the first setting and see how it goes, because that's about normal. Normally you'd have them on the soft, you know, if you're a lightweight. I'm not a lightweight, I'll be about 95 kilos. No, I'm not. About 85, yeah. Anyway, I'll get them adjusted up and that and see how it looks. Anyway, upwards and onwards. So that's the shockers on. She actually sits up a bit now. Actually looks better, I think. Certainly more comfortable. I'm going to take it out for a test run to see what it's like. Somebody did mention about the belt, about the belt being too slack. I just had the wife sitting on it. She doesn't like to be in camera, and the belt's sitting up at 2 notches, so it's not making any difference. And when she bounces up and down on it, it actually tightens and slackens a wee bit, but at the slackest point it's tight enough, so I'm quite happy with that. And again, here's the old ones. And if I sit it down here, it'll be the same right there. You can see the difference. That's the difference between the old ones and the new ones. So it's lifted it a fair wee bit. Did I want it up as much as that? Probably no, but it's comfort I'm more worried about. And when I sit in it now, I'm not sitting like when I was sitting before. My knees were bent up. When I was sitting with my feet on the pegs, my knees were quite high. Now it's not so bad. Not that I'm tall, but I'll show you what I mean. When I jump on it, she is a bit higher, and it feels better because I'm still flat-footed. My knees aren't up like that. My legs are a lot straighter. When they're on the pegs, my knees are down a bit. They're not. I don't know why. It shouldn't be like that, but it is. Yeah, the bike doesn't feel so small and cramped. It actually feels better, much better. So I'll take it for a ride and see how she really goes. Just before I do that, if anybody was interested in, I got these shocks, ordered them off eBay, and it was from a place in Cincinnati, and that was the price. So it's $179.99, and that's US dollars, so I convert that to Australian dollars, maybe 250. Seen people paying over $1,000 for shocks here. It's unbelievable, but these ones, yeah, really cheap. But let's go and try them out. Wow, 30 degrees. Okay, so I've taken her for a run. Wow, what a difference. So every time you hit a bump, a dip on the road, the bike bounces up and down as normal. But it actually bounces, well, not bounces, it's got suspension now, it's not a bang up your back. Yeah, these springs, every time you hit a wee bump, it's, yeah, or a big bump or a pothole, you're not getting hurt. These are absolutely fantastic. The only thing is, the bike's sitting up a wee bit. Your belt's okay once you're running, your belt's, once you sit on it and it goes down, your belt's tensioned perfectly. Another good thing is, your pegs don't scrape the ground. You've got to really get the knee out and the bum off the seat to be able to scrape the pegs now. Every time I came to a roundabout, I thought to myself, Jesus, what's wrong, you know? Pegs should be scraping, but not anymore, unless you really lean it over, which is good, because sometimes I found it just scraped too easily, and it could just about throw you off, to be quite honest, if you leant over too far. Now, there is a solution to this, lifting your bike up. You can actually buy a lowering kit for this bike. I can't remember if it goes on here or goes on here. It maybe goes on here, and it's a bracket, so it actually lowers the bike down. If anybody would want to lower a Bolt, I'd never know, because they're too bloody low as it is. But if you bought these shocks to improve the suspension, you could bring it back down to its original height by buying the lowering bracket. If you have a look on YouTube, you'll find them. But that would bring it back down to its original height, and you'd have perfect suspension with the original height. Me, I'm quite happy with it sitting up here. It's so much easier. You don't feel as cramped when you're sitting with your feet on the ground. Your knees aren't up at your chest. So overall, for the sake of 179 US dollars or 250 Australian dollars, I think it's a well worthwhile venture. Certainly these ones that came with the Bolt, they're bloody useless. If you see the road inside here, there's hardly any movement for them to go up and down. Pretty crap. These ones are set at the second notch, so they're a wee bit stiffer. I could maybe try letting it down one, but at the second notch, yeah, perfect. So now I can use the Bolt more often, so I hope that was a help. If you're having difficulty with your horrible suspension in the back of a Bolt, there's a remedy for you. See you later.